Okay, so you spent all day glued to the crypto news. Can't say I blame you.
Yeah, things are pretty wild out there right now.
To say the least. Rate cuts, Bitcoin skyrocketing past, what was it, $63,500. My Aunt Carol even texted me about Ethereum. Ethereum?
Well, that's how you know it's gotten real.
Right. So anyway, we've got a ton to unpack today. We've been digging through articles from Cointelegraph, Coinpedia, Investing.com.
Economic Times, FX Street,
Right.
even a piece from cryptonews.au.
Yeah, predictions are flying everywhere, and everyone wants to know what's next for crypto. So let's deep dive into all this, shall we?
Absolutely. I think a good place to start is, really understanding what just happened with the Fed, because that seems to be the catalyst for, well, everything.
Yeah, totally. Like, a bunch of these articles, Investing.com and Economic Times especially, are basically drawing a straight line between the rate cut and Bitcoin's price jump.
Right.
But I gotta say, at first glance, that seems a little strange to me, right? I
Yeah.
mean, what does the Federal Reserve have to do with crypto? Those feel like two totally different universes.
It does seem counterintuitive when you put it like that.
Right.
But the connection, at least according to a lot of analysts, and that Yahoo Finance piece articulated this really well, I thought, is that this rate cut is making investors nervous. Like, it's a sign that the economy might be slowing down more than anyone wants to admit.
Ah, okay.
And so historically, when that happens, when investors get nervous about traditional markets, they start looking for safer places to park their money,
Right.
places that aren't, so closely tied to the stock market's roller coaster. And that's where Bitcoin, as strange as it might sound to some people, starts to look pretty attractive.
Bitcoin, the safe haven.
Exactly.
Who would have thought? Okay, so that kind of tracks, I guess, with how much Bitcoin's price has gone up. But speaking of prices going up, there is a lot of buzz, even more so than usual, around Ethereum.
Ethereum, yeah.
Cointelegraph even had this headline, like, why is Ethereum ETH price up today? Like any of us don't already know. We're all glued to the charts.
Right, exactly.
But why is that happening? What's going on with ETH?
I think a few things are at play here.
Yeah.
First, remember all those upgrades Ethereum has been working on. Sharding, proof of stake, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Well, they're finally starting to make a real difference. Transactions are getting faster, fees are going down, and all of that makes it much more appealing for everyday use.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you've got the whole DeFi explosion, which, as much as people throw that term around,
I was going to say, I feel like DeFi is one of those things that everyone's talking about, but I'm not even sure I fully understand it.
it's simpler than it sounds.
Yeah.
Basically, DeFi, or decentralized finance, is like taking all the things you usually do with a bank, lending, borrowing, trading, and putting them on the blockchain instead. So instead of relying on, a central authority, you're relying on this decentralized network.
Okay.
And that cryptonews.au article actually had a really interesting take on this. They called Ethereum the Microsoft of blockchains,
Wow.
which, might be a bit of a stretch, but it kind of gets the point across.
It's a good headline. I mean, it definitely makes you think, right? Because if Ethereum really is becoming this foundational layer, this backbone for a whole new financial system,
Right.
that's huge.
It is huge.
Okay, but even with all this excitement, and believe me, I get it, it's exciting stuff. It's not like everyone's, booking their flights to the moon just yet.
Not for sure.
I mean, Coinpedia is still emphasizing how volatile things are, and some of those FX Street predictions are, to put it mildly, a little cautious. Plus, we've got that Benzinga analysis on TradingView talking about testing zones for Bitcoin. What does that even mean? I feel like that's trader speak that I need translated.
Yeah, it's basically a fancy way of saying that while the overall trend might be up, zoom out and look at the long term, there will always be these short-term ups and downs.
People buying and selling based on emotion, reacting to every little piece of news. And that's not really investing, is it? That's just like gambling.
Right.
So I think what's important, and this is where reading between the lines of these articles really helps, is to not get too caught up in the day-to-day noise. Zoom out, focus on the fundamentals, because those are what really matter in the long run.
Look beyond the hype.
Yeah.
I like that. Focus on what actually makes this stuff valuable. Okay, so we've talked about Bitcoin, Ethereum, DeFi,
Yeah.
but there was one article that really blew my mind.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
It was on Watcher Guru, and they were reporting about how commercial banks are starting to really get serious about crypto, like really serious. And that to me just feels, I don't know, monumental. It is. This isn't some small news story. This is like, this is a potential game changer.
Yeah.
Because we're not just talking about a few banks dipping their toes in the water anymore, right?
Right.
This is mainstream adoption. This is traditional financial institutions looking at this and saying, okay, we can't ignore this anymore.
Yeah.
It's too big, it's too important, and we need to be a part of it. So we're talking regulation, we're talking integration with existing systems, the whole 9 yards.
Hmm.
And that's what really gets me excited about the future of all this.
Right. It's not just some fringe technology anymore. Okay, so I think we covered a lot of ground here. Just to quickly recap, we've got the Fed rate cut sending investors looking for alternative assets. Crypto, obviously, being a big beneficiary there. Ethereum's upgrades, its role in DeFi, all pushing its price up. But remember, don't get too caught up in the short-term volatility. And
Exactly.
then, of course, the big one, watch out for the banks because they might just be the ones who change this whole game forever.
They might be. And I think this is a good question to leave everyone with as they continue to, go down this crypto rabbit hole. What does that mean for you?
Yeah.
Not just as someone who follows the market, but as an individual, as someone who might use this technology in their everyday life. What will your role be in this new financial landscape that's being built right before our eyes? I don't know the answer, but I think it's a question worth asking.
Absolutely, and that's something to think about.
Thank you once again for being part of our ever-growing On-Chain News Network community. Until next time, keep exploring the future of finance and stay curious. We'll see you in our next video.